Devotional Friday 7th of August. Yesterday I shared how Jacob Deshazer's life was transformed through reading the Bible and the Holy Spirit drawing him to faith in Jesus. All this happened while incarcerated in a Japanese prisoner of war camp during the Second World War. Today I want to follow with another personal story and how two lives seemingly poles apart are united in Jesus. This person was also fighting in the Pacific Ocean at the same time as Jacob Deshazer. But this man was on the opposing side. He was a Japanese fighter pilot. He was the lead pilot and commander of the attack on Pearl Harbor. His name was Mitsuo Fuchido, a highly decorated and respected Japanese hero. He was the man responsible for 3,000 deaths at Pearl Harbor and numerous others throughout the war. Amazingly, he survived many near-death experiences, including being in Hiroshima the day after the nuclear bomb exploded. He was one of 70 Japanese called to investigate the day after. None had protective clothing. Almost all died soon after. Fuchido survived in perfect health. But after the war, he became a bitter alcoholic. Japan had been humiliated by defeat, and he felt ashamed. Now, if we had met Fuchido at that point in his life, would you ever have imagined this man could become a Christian? A trained killer? A typical Japanese atheist? A bitter, hardened man crippled by alcoholism? Not a chance, we'd say. But in his grace and mercy, God worked in this man's life. He'd heard how Japanese prisoners of war had been well treated at the hands of American missionaries, and he was astonished. And then he was handed a Christian booklet at a railway station. And slowly but surely Fuchido changed to the point where he gave his life to Jesus Christ. This is how he describes that moment. I seemed to meet Jesus for the first time. I understood the meaning of his death as a substitute for my wickedness. And so in prayer I requested him to forgive my sins and change me from a bitter, disillusioned ex-pilot into a well-balanced Christian with purpose in living. That date, 14th of April 1950, was the day I became a new person. My complete view of life was changed by the intervention of Jesus Christ. I doubt very much that Jacob Deshazer, the hateful prisoner of war, and Mitsuo Fuchido, the washed-up Japanese fighter pilot, would ever have predicted what would have happened to them next. Well, God is always full of surprises. And here's the surprise in their story. Because who was the man who led Fuchido to Christ? None other than Jacob Deshazer. The booklet that Fuchido read on the railway station had been written by Deshazer just after he was released from prison. It was called I Was a Prisoner of Japan. And the thing that so impressed Fuchido was Deshazer's forgiveness for the very Japanese people who had caused him so much suffering. That was how Fuchido came to Christ. They eventually met and became fellow workers as missionaries in Japan. Only the gospel of Jesus can do that, bringing hated enemies to become gospel partners. Only the gospel of grace can change a person's life like that. Only the God of sovereign power can plan events like that. That's the God of the Bible. Question is he your God and mine?